Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with the Founder. Sometimes we drink coffee, sometimes not. Right now at noon-ish time PT, no, we're not drinking any coffee here for me. But I'm Beck Bamberger. I'm the founder of BAM and a couple other things. And we work with all venture-backed startups and venture funds. And the reason we do this show is to explore why people do this crazy thing of a venture-backed startup, even though everyone I know and work with or friends of mine are in this world of venture capital, and it's insane. And I'm a venture capitalist myself. So listen, takes one to know a crazy person. And we're here today with Aneesh Dhawan, who's the co-founder and CEO of Knit. Welcome, Aneesh. And how are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Beck.
Thank you. By the way, I don't know like what phone booth you're in, but it looks like there's like a beaming light of sunshine coming through it.
Yeah, here, let me
Yeah, is it actually like a window that's like giving you natural light?
it is. Yeah, there's a window in one of these, which has been really fun to take calls in because you're not in a
Normally
little
they're just in
closet
a
the entire day. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, how fun. Okay, well, great. Well, excellent. Enjoy the beams of light coming down on your face. Okay, Aneesh, why are you doing Knit, a research-driven AI platform? Tell us.
Yeah, well, like many in our industry, I fell into research. I didn't grow up wanting to become a researcher my entire life, but I was really fortunate. My entrepreneurship journey started very early. Started my first business in high school. Built
Nice.
Yeah, built a cost marketing agency. So we worked with brands, helped them connect with local consumers who would create and share content on social media for them.
And you were 16, right? Is what I
I
have
was
on my notes.
16. Yep, yep.
Feed a friend, it was called.
That is correct. Yeah, first business, and worked on that throughout high school, and then ultimately turned that into a tech startup. So built one of the first nano influencer platforms. Same exact premise there, which is connecting, in this case, more national brands with everyday consumers to create and share content to raise money for causes they cared about. So did the whole cliche founder journey, dropped out of school, moved down to Austin. Austin was beaming at the time, and worked on the business for a few years, helping drive store traffic for a lot of these big brands around new product launches. And
Hmm.
then the pandemic hit. Very bad business to be in when there's a global pandemic, driving store traffic. But that's where we identified. We had a lot of our customers come to us and say, "Hey, look, we don't need help with marketing our new products. We just need to understand how consumers are behaving right now. Like, how are they eating? How are they
Hmm.
discovering products? What are they looking to stock up on?" And that's really where the idea for Knit came. Was out of this just like market need of these brands that were just trying to figure out, what are my customers doing or what are my consumers doing during a global pandemic?
Hmm. Why couldn't they tell?
Yeah.
Because it's just everyone's in their home, and so it's a black box, and so I don't know.
Yeah, well, there were a couple different things, right? So on one hand, we had customers, like large retail stores whom we still work with, that literally were used to going and walking into their store to talk to their customers. So
Yes.
obviously, a lot of that wasn't happening.
Yep.
I think the larger problem there, Beck, was that if you think about how brands used to and still talk to their consumers, traditional market research was really, really slow. Like,
Oh
you
yeah.
were it still takes in many
Focus
cases
groups.
focus groups, interviews. Like, you can spend, on a good day, on a good project, 4 to 6 weeks to talk to your consumers.
You know
uh,
what, too?
yeah.
Oh, this just brings me to something, and I heard it on a podcast of behavior. Esther Perel. I already mentioned her once today. I'm going to send her this clip. Behavior is truth.
Hmm.
Behavior is truth. As in, I don't care what you are saying. It really doesn't matter. Now, hopefully, the words are correlated to your behavior, but ultimately, behavior is truth. And so, in this case, Aneesh, I would imagine it's the same because in tons of research focus groups and stuff, people, oh, well, I like it that size, or I want it this color, or I want it. They don't actually know. The behavior is totally different.
Yeah.
Do you find the same?
Yeah, so like one of our first projects, right? I mean, that was the key. One of the key problems we were seeing is it was taking a long time, and you couldn't actually see what customers are doing. You're
Yeah.
just hearing from them on a survey, right, or in a very controlled environment like a focus group. with Knit, what we did is we condensed that process into days instead of weeks, which I'll share more about later today. But one of the key breakthroughs for us is we brought the power of video into people's homes. So you could record a video of yourself talking, you could record a video of what's in your pantry, you could record a video of you cooking something in the kitchen, and share that. And we could collect that from hundreds or thousands of consumers within just a couple of days. And that was the big breakthrough for a lot of our partners or our customers, was I can finally talk to my customers in a way that they want to be talked to and at a scale and speed that never was possible before.
Okay. So give us a use case of who's coming to you right now and what have you helped them solve?
Yeah.
Like
So
NASCAR, for example. I know you have lots of testimonials.
Yeah, we have some great partners. We work with over 60 plus, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 brands, primarily in the consumer space. So
Mhm.
most major brands or products that you might have lying around or that you consume today, we've done work with a lot of those partners. One of my favorite examples of this recently is we were working with a really large retailer, and we were helping them trying to figure out what's the impact of tariffs. What impact is that going to have on them
Yeah.
as a retailer, but more
Yeah.
importantly on the perceptions of their consumers. So they came to us on like a Thursday, launched the study. By Friday, we were in field. By Monday, we had helped them gather, again, very, very rich qualitative data from talking to
Hmm.
these consumers, thousands of consumers through these videos over the weekend, pretty much. Our AI analyzed all that data, uncovered some really powerful insights for them. And by Tuesday, they were able to kind of bring this report that our platform generated to their stakeholders. So 4 or 5 day turnaround, talking to thousands of consumers and really hearing directly.
That's amazing.
It was pretty incredible. And it allowed them to be incredibly kind of proactive in a very fast changing environment, which we're still seeing today with all those tariffs being released earlier this week.
Gosh, yes. And to ask for someone who's like not deep in this space, such as myself, I'd be like, who do you all compete with? Or is it the default? Because why are you the ones that are just seeming to have copious success doing something that seems just like market research? Haven't we done this for a long time?
Absolutely. So, the truth is a lot of the brands that we're working with, again, they're the largest brands in the world.
Yep.
A lot of them are still used to using traditional market research methods, either in-house or usually from their agency partners that they've been accustomed to working with for dozens of years. And so a lot of the time, what we're doing is, in many cases, we are helping them run this type of research just in a new way. Right? So we're helping them condense that time to research. We're helping them do it at scale. So instead of talking to a dozen people over a focus group, you can now talk to hundreds or thousands of people through this kind of async video that we have. And we're helping them do it in a better way. And I think that's where it gets really exciting, is when you can run a new type of research where you can actually talk to your customers and have really hard quantitative data on them at one time, versus traditionally you have kind of your surveys and you have your focus groups and
Yeah.
they're separated.
Yeah.
So that's one area. The second area is my favorite use cases are the ones that didn't exist, a year ago or 2 years ago.
Such as, yeah, tell us.
Exactly. So I'll give you a great example here. Like, basically, there's so many use cases where you didn't either have the time. It's usually around the time to actually run this type of rigorous research. So we work with a really large private equity kind of company, a large private equity firm, and they used to run a little bit of research in their due diligence process. They have 3 to 4 weeks to run due diligence on a company. But you can't get really that deep from a qualitative perspective in 4 weeks, right?
No,
But with
yeah,
Knit,
exactly.
exactly, with Knit, since we compress that into 4 days, they can get so much more rich insights in that time, which just helps them make better decisions. So that's an example of something that a year ago or 2 years ago wouldn't have been possible. There wasn't anything to help them run that type of research in that timeline. But with our platform, and because of how we're using AI to automate this and streamline this process, it is now possible.
So you just 10x the research time.
Exactly.
You could
So
say, yeah.
like the way we think about this is really for the enterprise brand, we are elevating the role of research and the researchers, right? So the researchers at our brand partners, they're not spending time doing some very time intensive, frankly, in many cases, low value things that
Yeah,
AI
exactly.
can do. We're helping them free up their time to do what's most important, which is what do we do with these insights, right? AI is really good at designing your study, analyzing a first draft of the study, even building a report. What it can't do is what the magic is in research, which is what do we do with these insights? How do we tell a story? How do I present this to my CMO versus my CFO, right?
Yeah.
Like that kind of the art behind research. AI doesn't have the context. It doesn't have that that human element to it that only a human expert researcher can bring. And so that's what we hear from our partners is the partners that have continued working with us over these last couple of years and have really loved the platform is like, you guys are just elevating my role. You're allowing me to do a lot more and a lot different things by automating so much of the time intensive first draft.
So would you say this is an example of AI being used so beautifully to, elevate that human worker, such as there was an article that came out, I think like 2-3 months ago, just in the New York Times about, oh my gosh, this particular hospital system is cranking out and hiring as many radiologists as possible because now the radiologists actually have much better research done by AI that can pick out a cancer or detect something that looks off-putting, and spend time being, doctors and hospitable and like talking to actual humans. So humans talking to humans and being that versus looking at screens all day and missing things, frankly, because you're just not as good as a machine. So
100%.
a similar case here.
Absolutely. There's, when AI tools were rolling out in our industry, there was this kind of two camps, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like this is going to make running consumer research less human and
Yeah.
make running research actually more human. And we fit squarely in that camp of, look, if we take all of that time intensive work off of your plate, this actually allows our partners to be more human. It allows them to run more research. It allows them to spend more time going deeper in what these stories mean. And so I'm really bullish on where the world's headed, at least in our industry.
Me too.
I think it's gonna unlock a world where every brand can, from the largest enterprise brands to some of the smaller brands that didn't have access to a tool like this or research like this, to actually make more decisions that are rooted in the voice of the customer. And I think ultimately, as cheesy as that might sound, like I want to be in a world where the products and services that I'm consuming are built better for me.
100%.
Creating experiences, better products that better service you. So I think that's a really exciting world to live in. 3, 4, 5 years from now.
I'm with you on this. Have you seen an uptick in researchers, as in like hiring and like in the client base that you have? Or we don't enough yet?
Yeah, I mean, we work across several different industries.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in some industries, the entire industry is kind of in a downturn.
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen in some cases where teams are getting smaller, and this allows them to still run the same, if not more, research because we can again help be an extension of their team.
Yeah.
In other areas, one of our partners that we've been working with has grown with us 2-3x in the last 15 to 18 months, and their team has also grown 2-3x. And so there's definitely this idea of like, you guys are just allowing us to do a lot more. And I'm sure if you talk to any enterprise researcher today, Beck, no one's going to say we don't have enough work or we don't have enough questions or enough questions to answer for our business. Every researcher has a long list of things that stakeholders want them to dig into, but oftentimes the bottleneck is not having the bandwidth.
Okay. Now you, Aneesh, have come literally straight out of school as a researcher. You're like, yep, this is your first startup besides the one you started in high school, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. How are you finding it? You're almost 5 years into NIT. How are you finding this as a young startup? You're not one that is, oh, this is my third startup. I'm hitting 50. I already raised 2 kids. That's a different profile. So you're on the younger set. How is it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's so for context to your point, I would consider this to be my 7th or 8th year running a business. Most of that time, about 4 to 5 years, were between my first that agency that we turned into a influencer platform, and knit.
Yes.
We've been at
Yes.
this since 2023 is when we locked in our first customer. So a little earlier in our journey here at knit,
Yeah.
about 2 years. But look, I've learned a lot. I think one, and I talk about this a lot with other founders that are considering, dropping out of school or not going to school to start a startup. I do think, there are definitely downsides to it,
Mm.
in terms of there's a lot to learn. And if you can surround yourself with the right community, that can help accelerate that, make some of that less painful, then it's great. But I think the upside of this is, this is like one such an exciting time to build in this space with AI. Like you can just accomplish a lot more. There's so much more opportunity. Every single industry is being kind of upended right now. But two, this is also a great time in life to build as well. You really, for most people at this stage, really only have to take care of yourself. You have your liabilities are pretty, smaller for most people at this stage and age than as you get older, and if you choose to have a family, raising a family. So I've been able to really go heads down for the last 4 or 5 years, learn everything the hard way, which I think for me has been a great way to learn. That's the type of person I am in terms of I learn best from going out there and making mistakes and learning from it. So yeah, I feel like I've learned a lot, and you can definitely see it in the traction we've gotten with this startup. So 2.5 years we've been more successful than the last 5 years combined, and a lot more. So it's been a really successful 2.5 years building this business, and a lot of it is just because we learned a lot from our first couple or first
Yeah.
4 or 5 years.
This is the benefit of youth, if I say, Aneesh, because when you're like, I'm not taking anybody to daycare. I don't have anyone to pick up from soccer. I don't have a parent I'm like watching over because they got Alzheimer's and stuff. Like you're in the midst of like, this is all like this. I'm
Yeah.
fully deployed. I'm fully deployed on this. I think it's a remarkable advantage and bias. I remember when I went to business school at 19, because shockingly, the University of Pittsburgh like allowed me to go to business school at 19, and all of my classmates were probably like average age 36, maybe mid 30s or something. And I loved it because all I knew was test taking, all I knew was studying, and I'm like, you people. You haven't taken a test in 15 plus years, like an actual real test. Like, so it was such an advantage. So I just give you like high fives of like having this great benefit right now.
Yeah,
I think it's
absolutely.
rad.
And I
Good
think
on
it's
you.
it's great because it allows you to approach what you're doing from
Yeah.
a fresh start to a blank piece of paper. And look, I mean, we have while we are earlier in our journey, 2.5 years, 3 years in, my co-founder and I both were friends in college, so we're like, both kind of did the younger founders journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Been able to we've been able to build an incredible team around us, a team of experts from the industry. We have an in-house research team staffed with researchers that have spent 2 decades plus in the
Mm,
industry. Our partnerships team, our CS team, our engineering team, like we've just been able to hire some incredible leaders from the industry and outside of the
mm,
industry to help us build. And frankly, that I think is that was the biggest lesson that I learned between my two startups, is like the importance of finding really solid team members early on, can be the difference between being successful and on the right track, and stalling out. And so I consider myself to be really fortunate to work with such an amazing group of people,
mm.
and just glad
So
that yeah.
let's tap on that, and we can have this as our kind of our ending point for our little conversation for today. What do you attribute that ability to attract such amazing, phenomenal talent?
Yeah, I think I would say it really comes down to the problem. Like we've identified, Raish, my co-founder, and I spent our first 9 months in the business talking to 100 plus researchers, and just like understanding how they run research. And so we've built a product that I truly solves their problem. And you can see it in the traction, you can see it in the types of brands that we work with. And ultimately, I think the best builders, the best early stage entrepreneurs, early stage people that want to join a company from the earliest stages truly are driven by solving meaty problems, and meaningful problems. And I think that's what we offer people that join Knit. We're hiring, by the way, so check out our career stage on our on our website. But we have just an incredible team that is here that understands that Knit is actually truly solving a really meaningful problem in our industry. And that gets people excited, and it gets people excited to see the impact that they're having when we hear from insights professionals at the largest brands in the world raving about how we just save them hundreds of hours or help them go to market, months faster, or save them X amount of dollars by helping them figure out the best way to go to market. Like, that's really exciting. And it's something that, we can rally people around and get them excited to join the company for.
Aneesh, I think we should end there. That sounds so lovely. Under your like sun rays beaming on your face. This is so good. Awesome. I never thought of research being so accelerated in this way. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting industry. It's overlooked, but ultimately,
it is.
Store, yeah. I mean, the coolest thing, you walk into the store and you see a product that you've run research on. Like, it's pretty exciting. It's a pretty exciting moment.
That's so fun. That's me being in San Francisco and seeing a billboard with one of our clients, and I'm like, oh, that's our client. Like, that's my version for you.
There we go.
Well, Aneesh Dhawan, who's co-founder and CEO of Knit, thanks for being on today. I will never think of products the same way, Aneesh, because when you think about it, it's like how much time and research, anything that's on a shelf, truly is the result of a lot of inputs of thinking and analyzing and and all this great stuff.
Hopefully. Well, it just got a lot easier with us, so hopefully
there you go.
More and more.
There you go. Thank you, Aneesh, so much. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Beck.